1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Is it picking up? Okay. Just whenever I like restart OBS, it asks me to update it every day. It's so annoying.
Yes, OBS does love to come out with their little updates.
Yeah.
Sometimes adjusting my settings.
Yeah, usually nowadays do not update it because like it messes up my whole like main settings and scenes, so okay. Let me check if we are live and everything is working correctly. One, two, three, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Please say something. Just to test it on
Yes,
stream too.
I am here.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Please say something. Just to test it on stream too.
Yes, I am here.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Please say something. Just to test it on stream too.
Yes, I am here.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, let us know if we can start. Let us know. Also, thank you, by the way, for everyone's patience. It was on my end that we had to postpone the interview. So, thank you, everyone, for the patience. Let us know, ladies and gentlemen, if we can start. Let us know. And like always, ladies and gentlemen, at or close to the end of the interview, you will be able to ask questions as well. So keep that in mind. During the interview, I don't read chat, so only at closer to the end. So also keep that in mind. Sounds good? It sounds good? Perfect. Got the coffee? I'm ready? Nice. Perfect. Okay. Let me close this window down. Bigger up my chat. And let's announce it on my Discord again that we started it. We can start. Okay. Let me know if we can start. Dear Sean, I hope that I'm pronouncing, by the way, your name right. I practiced, I promise.
Yes.
For a Hungarian person, practicing names is always important, right? So yeah.
Of course. And so that I have your name pronounced correctly.
Yeah. Ottó or Ottó. I'm not sure if which is more comfortable for you, yeah. Or Remulto. Okay, it's up to you. Yeah, thank you.
Well, great to speak with you in person, Ottó.
You too. Thank you. I appreciate that. So yeah, welcome everyone in the very new episode of my Dev Live show. Today I'm joined with Sean, who is the creator of the game Hordes of Viscount. And first of all, I would like to say that I'm very thankful and very honored that you joined us for today's episode. Like I said, I'm very sorry for this inconvenience that we had to postpone our interview, but now we are here. Now we are being able to speak to each other, and I hope everyone will have fun during this interview, and you too, as well as my guests. And yeah, like I'm always saying, let's start with a little bit of introduction. So please introduce yourself for us.
Yes, first of all, it is an honor to be here. Actually, I've watched quite a few of your videos at this point, and I've been very excited to come on here. Yes, my name is Sean Ryan David Higgins, and I'm a software engineer by actual trade, and making the game Horde of Viscount is more of a fun hobby of mine. It's been a side project.
I see. I mispronounced the name of the game. I practiced it though. Sorry for that. Yeah, sorry for that. Okay, thank you, by the way.
It is a French word for a landowner. Like a count. This is a lower level than a count.
Okay. I see. So like my always first question would be to every episode of mine, of my Dev Live show, is that what was your very first contact with video games as a player? Let's start with this exact question, and then we can move on to other topics before we go deeper into the talk.
Wow, my first exposure with video games. It had to be when my father was injured at work and he had to stay at home for a little while.
I see.
So one of my uncles got him an NES because he was not able to work. He was going to be sitting down. I think it was his leg, and so there was a Nintendo Entertainment System, and my father was playing. It was Bomberman and
Okay.
Mario Duck Hunt, Mario 1 Duck Hunt, and there were a couple other games, but those are the two that I remember the most first. And while he was playing, I was enamored. I was absolutely enamored. And I was younger, and I did not do well, of course. No, my father took to it very, very well. Though he was very skilled out of the gate, which is fantastic. But yeah, that was my first exposure to video games.
I see. I see. From that point of your life that you like realized that you love playing video games, what was that tick in your head or light bulb moment in your head when you like also realized that, hey, I love playing video games, but I would also like to make those games as my passion or hobby or work?
Also not too long after that,
Okay.
I started drawing concept arts.
Oh, okay.
And I was not a good artist by any means.
Okay.
But it was mostly for the structure, the
Is
gameplay.
this true, by the way, or you were just too
Yes.
cruel with yourself?
Oh no, no! If you look at the art for Horde of Viscount, I drew all of it, and you'll see it's 8-bit for a reason. Let's say that.
I see. I see. Okay.
Yes, but yes, I was not great at drawing art, but I loved drawing the concepts. I loved drawing the level design, and just it was on paper. It was absolutely on paper.
I see.
And I always thought one day I'll turn these into actual physical pieces of software.
I see. I see. I assume that it took a lot of years to actually start making this game, right? If I understand it correctly, right? So you worked in other territories of like a normal job, let's say, and then you went back to your passion project, right? If I understand it correctly.
Well, actually, the story is a little more complicated than that.
Okay.
When I was younger, I was just making games for fun. There were game making engines out when I first started. Like RPG Maker was one that comes to mind, and I would always dipped into that, and I always made fun demos and sent them to my friends. I never quite made my own with my own assets, with my own efforts. So then, I ended up being a software engineer with my 9 to 5, and then I came back around to, this was always on my bucket list. And what triggered me was about 2 years ago, I had a friend named Keith who he loved Metroidvanias, he loved platformers, he loved all those games. But he unfortunately he passed away from a seizure
I'm sorry
in the night. Yeah, thanks. And that was the sort of reminder that's like,
life is
my
short.
mortality was at life is short. My mortality is at question. Should I just
true.
What if that were me? Would I have not
leave
finished
your
that bucket list item?
Yeah.
Yes, like what is going to be my fun legacy that I want to pass on? And that was a hey, get into gear. Life
smack
is short,
in the face, right?
Boy, was it a smack in the face. And so I thank him for that reminder that do your bucket list items, take your PTO.
True, very true. It's a sad story, by the way, and I'm very thankful that you are speaking about it with honesty, because it matters, and I really appreciate your honesty, like I said.
Of course.
What could be the reason, by the way, that you haven't started it earlier? Because it's also an interesting and important topic to speak about, in my opinion.
Oh, of course. I would say one of them would be, like I would have to make my own assets, and every
I
time I
see.
sat down to make my own assets, which you're not supposed to do when you draft a concept. When you draft a concept, it's supposed to be basic polygons for all those
True, true,
aspiring
true,
devs out
true,
there.
true.
But I was so fixated on the no, this is how it must look, this is how it must
I
feel.
see,
So I
I
started
see, I
making
see.
the assets. But making the assets for somebody who is artistically challenged like myself takes a significant amount of time, so nothing got off the ground besides a 20-minute demo for everything. And I just go, this is not enough, this takes too
I
long,
see.
or I'd fall in love with another project. And then the second excuse is life is always, we always say, life is so busy. We always say, oh, my schedule's so full, I don't
Yeah,
have time to
true,
do this,
true, true, true,
I don't have
true.
time to do that. I
We act
work my
like we
9 to
don't have
5.
the time and the right place. Yeah, exactly, exactly,
Yep.
exactly.
So it was riding on that excuse and the one prior.
I see, I see. Do you think like if you like had back then the artistic knowledge, would it be different for you? That would you have like the more confidential space in your life to start earlier?
I think I would have, because it would be my own assets, and I would be doing all the work myself. It would be my masterpiece, and I can hand it out. And I think because of that, I would have had a lot more traction,
I
of
see,
course.
I see,
But for every hour I spend doing the art is one less hour I spend writing the code or doing the design phase, the actual level design
I see.
phase.
Yeah, yeah. So it took away from other important aspects of the game itself or the making of the game. Yeah, yeah. I see, I see.
Hmm.
Switching to a more personal level question. Were your parents, family members, and close friends supportive, by the way, about this decision of yours that you now logging back into your past and to your passion projects, and you now starting to make your own games?
They've been incredibly supportive. My
Okay,
my parents, my friends, my extended family. They think it's so cool to hear about it. So many of them have played
that's
my
very lovely.
demo.
Nice.
Yes, yes. I have received so much support on this. I'm really thankful to have them, really, because they
I
all
see.
push me forward.
I see. I see. Do you think it is important for you, by the way, to have this mentally supportive background in your life in order to chase your dreams and go for your passion projects, or you have been doing it anyway? So you are like that passionate about your own projects that you have been done it anyway.
A lot of people will say that, oh, I could have done this myself, or I did it myself. But in all honesty, that only works for such a short amount of time until you lack those cheerleaders, until you
True,
lack
true,
those
true. That
people. Yeah,
motivation, yeah.
those people who push you forward, that
True,
make it feel like
true. I agree.
this is worth it. This is more than just my
True.
bucket list item. Because after who knows amount of time, if you're alone, you're sitting there going, why am I doing this? And you
True. You
lose
will
the
get
reason, you lose
depressed,
the feeling.
motivation. Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly.
But I
Yeah.
don't have that. I have the best cheerleaders, so many of them.
Lovely, lovely. I love that. Cheers to them, right? Hopefully they are here as well
Yes,
and
cheers to my
listening.
cheerleaders.
Very true. Okay. Throughout, by the way, those times that you have been developing games, even when you were a kid, even now, what was your favorite moments of making games?
I would have to say my favorite moment is always when I watch other people play it.
Okay.
Just, yeah, I will admit, like, it is fun, and I get very involved, and I focus on like, I'm still a programmer at heart, must solve the problem, right? And I really enjoy it, and right, making these features and doing the design drafts on paper. And those are great, and those are great feelings, and I don't want to undermine them. But the reality is, when I go to a convention, for instance, and I have my booth and I have my game on display and I watch them play, and I watch them go from, oh, this is fun, to, oh, I get it. Wow, I can do this. And they get excited
True,
and they're
true,
having
true,
a
true,
great time. The light in their eyes, just,
true.
with my friends and family as well, when I bring my game over to my friends and family, I'm like, try my game. I have 40 hours of content in it that you could try out. And they're playing it. They're like, oh, wow, this is so great. Oh, this is so great. And then the light leaves their eyes because I made a stage too hard. And they're like, oh, thanks. That was
Easy to
useful
learn, hard to
feedback.
master, right? Or
Yeah.
hard to learn, hard to master, let's say.
Yes, but it's the same thing as the Dark Souls thrill, right? One of the
True,
thrills
true,
of Dark
true.
Souls is
To
you
get you
defeated the
addicted
boss.
about it, right?
Yep, and you defeated the boss, and you feel that adrenaline rush. You feel
True,
that
true,
high, like, I solved the problem. I mastered the
true,
pattern. On to the next one.
true, true, true. Have you always been thinking of these hardcore games to make, by the way? Or was it something that developed out throughout the process of you making your own games? That
It
this decision
was,
started in you to make hard
yeah,
games?
I designed it so that it has so Horde of Viscount has 3 different levels of difficulty.
I see.
It has additional heat that you can apply to it.
I see.
It's either add no heat, which is the easiest, and then add 1 heat or add 2 heat. And then on top of that, you have something called an easy ribbon that you can equip that makes the game even easier, but you get less loot, you get less
I
drops,
see. I see. I
right?
see.
So I tried to cater to the people who are not so great at platforming, but they love it and they want to just enjoy it. So they can just play on no additional heat and with that easy ribbon and have a much easier time. But unfortunately, throughout the course of me making the game, I've had numerous people saying, oh, this heat level feels too difficult for this area. It feels too difficult for this stage in the game. I'm only this level. It's the enemies are too hard. So I'm like, okay, thanks. And I start to move those enemies from the easier difficulty to the harder difficulty. So it was a work in progress. It's not intentionally Souls-like, but it has a Souls-like mode, that's for sure.
I see. I see. Throughout the process, by the way, of sticking to this decision that you wanted your game to be hard from the start, what helped you stick to this vision of yours, right? What helped you not change? For example, for the players who would like to have an easier game for themselves.
Yeah, I have all my friends and family who have played it. They are a variety of levels. Excuse me, of Metroidvania
It's okay.
players. Yeah, so I have some players who are not adept at Metroidvania. They're better at FPSs or other genres, right? And they play it, and they play on the easiest difficulty, and they refuse to put on that easy ribbon I mentioned. They refuse. They're like, no, I will get through this. So it's their battle of attrition that makes me think, okay, you know what? I will keep the difficulty at this lowest level as it is, and I'm going to pump up the harder one even higher, right?
I see.
So the short answer is my players, my audience.
I see. Do you think, like, if somebody is making a niche game by making the difficulty for a very high standard, then it can, like, reach its audience? Do you think it's always the case due to video games?
I think it can reach a portion of its audience,
okay.
right? Because it's a lot about it's more than just how you make your game. It's also how you market it, how you show it to people, how accessible you make it.
True. Okay. You have spoken about your favorite part of the process itself when you make your own games, but what about at least favorite parts? Or like the most challenging ones when it comes to the process of making games?
See, it is that sweet spot. Call it sweet, but it's not sweet. It's that bitter. It's that bitter part between I've made the design for this one feature and I've gotten feedback and I've made this whole thing and that feedback that I get is, like, this is good, but this needs to change about it, and then I have to fight myself on, well, is that is that going against the vision and the point of this game, or do I really need to do it? And also, because of the way I made this, to add that feature is so much work, and I already just added this feature, and I thought I was done with it, but I'm not done with this feature. Somebody just came back and was like, no, this isn't gonna work, this one part. And I'm like, that one part is like 8 hours of code. No, don't lie to me.
I see. By the way, I have to ask this from the very beginning of our interview. Is your shirt connected to your game?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm so
glad. Love it. Promotion time, right? Promotion. Key.
Yes.
It's key promoting the games. I always say that. Nice.
I have a very small story to add to this, actually. So as I think I have mentioned, I made all of the sprites for this game, right? Yeah. I made almost all the assets besides the music, but I want to get into that in another question because that's a can of worms. So I made all of the other assets, and I just had all these images, and my wife mentioned to me, "Oh, why don't you make merch?" I'm just like, because you have to pay for a merch shop, so I don't want to. And she's like, yeah, but like I can get like our merch shop just like up and running, and I can just spawn it up so that we can have some apparel, and you can use it as gifts when people go to your booth at conventions. And I was like, that's a great idea, and I never got around to making it. So she asked for my assets. And I just took like a texture sheet, the texture sheet for the game, and it's just for those who are not technical, it's effectively a giant JPEG file or PNG file, and it contains all of the images for your game in one giant file. And I just sent that to her, and she took all my assets and she made all this design.
Lovely. Where can I get one? Let me know. Where can I get one? Let me know. I need one in my size.
One in your size. Okay, yes. If you want Horde of Viscount merch, just message literally any of the social medias for Horde of Viscount, and I promise somebody who is myself will answer you and go, "What do you want?" and we'll custom
I will keep
for
it
you
in my mind. Okay, thank you.
Yep, absolutely. If you want a catalog, send me a catalog.
Lovely.
Hold on, let me write that down. That's actually a good idea. Post on social media the catalog. Okay, there we go.
You gotta keep the notes, right?
Yes. I always have notes up. Always have notes ready.
Love that. Throughout the process, by the way, of making your game, was there, by the way, anything that's needed to be cut out? And if your answer is yes, by the way, could you reuse those like small plans or assets or anything that you put into your game already, but you needed to cut it out?
Yes, there's a lot of design elements and plot elements that I originally wrote specifically that isn't making the cut into the final game. Mostly because you can't see it in the demo, but my game actually has a lot of plot behind it that drives the gameplay forward, and a lot of it was a fun idea. A lot of things were a fun idea, but they don't make logical sense from the actual plot that I've written out, and I don't want that massive immersion break because it is so drastically different, because there's a logical problem that you're effectively trying to solve in the game, and as you're going through it, you get little hints of, but what is the actual cause of this? Because I need this in order to figure out that last ending, because there are 4 endings. How do I figure that out? Yeah, and if I added this, it would have muddied that plot. It's similar to a generic answer would be like if Aragorn in Lord of the Rings just pulled out a cell phone for no reason, right? it would just be like,
my mom is calling, right?
Yeah, he just picks up, it breaks immersion, and it makes it lose that sort of mystery aspect that you're trying to solve in this plot line.
True.
And there's
go for it. Sorry.
There's one minor addendum to that. The other thing that was cut out is there was a lot of music cut
Okay.
out, which
Okay.
makes me dip into the music portion of it. So I initially was writing all of my own music for
I
Horde of
see. I
Viscount.
see.
And my friend, Alex Rusak, also known as Enjoyer of Cake or Cake Enjoyer on his socials, he loved my game and he said, "This game is really fun. I see the direction you're going with it. Your music is adequate." And he said, "I can write you music that's more than adequate." So I was like, "Yes, my friend, absolutely." Oh, yes, and that beautiful music that you hear, 99% of it, if not more, is all of his work. All the credit for the
Nice.
music goes to him.
Nice. Lovely. Lovely. So you mentioned,
Mhm.
by the
He's
way,
also a player.
thank you. Thank you for that. So, by the way,
Mhm.
you mentioned at the very beginning also of our interview that the play time would be like around 40 or 50 hours. Is that correct? If I
So,
understand it correctly?
So yeah, if you think about a lot of Metroidvanias or a lot of platformers with a lot of secrets, if you just run through it, if you just run through my game and you don't try any of the extras, first of all, you'll have more trouble on the bosses,
True, true,
significantly more
true.
trouble on the bosses,
Understandable. Yeah.
and navigation will be much harder. But you can do it in about your average player will get through the demo in 7 hours right now, and the full game in 9, maybe 8, maybe 8.5, and that's to the bad ending. By the way,
I
that's the
see.
bad
I
ending.
see. I see. I see. I see. So if
But
you want
my
to the complete experience, you need to like search for every clue.
yeah, you need to search for a lot of clues if you want the complete experience. And this game can be, if you do all of the extras, easily 45 hours of gameplay.
Okay.
And my best player right now, my best player has 36 hours, 31 minutes, and 48 seconds. That
Okay.
is that is my best player right now. I messaged him 2 weeks ago and I said, "Hey, I'm gonna have an interview. I know I'm gonna be asked how long this game takes. How long do you have?" And he goes, 36 hours, and I have almost everything besides 2 stages, which is, it took me longer, let's just say that.
Love it. Love it. So this topic, by the way, brought up another question in my mind, in my head.
Mhm.
Which came first to your head when you started designing this exact game of yours? The story, the gameplay, the setting, or the music?
Wow, that is a good
Thank
question.
you.
Wow. Yes, that is a fantastic question.
Thank you.
So in my particular case, and I'm usually against this. Usually I love writing the plot first. For almost every game I've ever made a demo of, I've written the plot first
I see.
and some of the design and premise, and then I would add gameplay to accommodate that. Uh, but for this instance, I accidentally made the gameplay first
Okay.
because I said, "Oh, my first game, I just want it to be. I want to make a Metroidvania. I want to make a platformer Metroidvania. They're fun and they're classic." And I was going for the Game Boy feel, obviously, so that falls in really nicely.
I see. I see.
Mhm.
Speaking of, by the way, the Game Boy feel, are you going to release your game to other platforms as well? Or do you have any
So,
plans to release your game publicly to other platforms?
yes, most certainly. Right now, it's only on itch.io, it's on Game Jolt, and Newgrounds.
Okay.
But I plan to purchase a license so I can export it to Switch, export it to PlayStation and
Nice.
Xbox. Yep,
Love that.
I
Love
saw
that.
the developer license costs and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to pay those until I'm actually almost done with the game. I'm going to wait.
I see. I see. Are you planning to expand your game as well when you are going to release this game of yours to other platforms, or would you like to move on and to start working on new projects? I know it's a spoiler question, so if you don't want to answer it, it's fine, but I'm interested in that too.
Oh, all right. For those watching the VODs, skip 3 minutes if you don't want the spoilers. But all right, stay for the spoilers. Spoilers start. I plan to add a couple features. There are a couple playable characters in the game
Okay.
that have base combat skills, but for after post-release, I plan to make them, like in a lot of Castlevanias, once you beat the game, you unlock a character to play through the game again with, but they have a completely different kit and they play differently. I already have those. I already have the designs written out for them, and I already have them as another spoiler. There's a hidden couch co-op in the demo. You can play as them, but it's the base form of them.
I see. Okay. Love the idea of co-op. By the way, I'm a huge fan of co-op and couch co-op, especially. I made a very unique like show or stream marathon with my friends that we sit down on a couch eating potatoes, French fries, and play couch co-op games and meet them. And we call it in Hungarian Kanapé Krumpli Cooperative CAD, which translates in Cooperative Tuesday Potato Kanapé Krumpli Cooperative CAD. Yeah. So Couch Potato Tuesday Cooperation. Yeah. Couch Potato Tuesday.
Fun.
Yeah. Sorry, I got lost in my mind. Yeah, speaking of these words. Yeah, but yeah, basically we sit down together playing couch co-op games on a real couch and eat French fries. So it rhymes, right? So these 4 words in Hungarian rhymes. So yeah, I was missing a lot of my childhood times of sitting down with my actual friends and IRL and play together, not just online, and shouting to each other, that, hey, an enemy is there, but to, smack each other's face in real life if they're not doing their work.
Yes, there is something so fun about that. I love. So I've played multiplayer this game, Horde of Viscount, with my friends. The multiplayer version, we'd have controllers and sit down together, and we would make the best mistakes. And I feel that joy, and I want to replicate that joy in this game. I want that to be an option where you can sit down together and you can play and you can make the dumbest mistakes and you laugh. You have a good time.
True. Love that. Switching back to the topic, by the way, of merch, I'm a huge fan of not just merch, but physical editions of video games. Do you have any plans, like a figurine or a physical edition of your game when you will have a released version for other platforms as well, like PlayStation or Switch? Any plans for that? Or it's a spoiler time again and you cannot speak about it? So many spoilers in this episode, right?
Oh, good. Get good. All the hidden content. I will say that my plans for physical editions are minimal right now, only because I looked up the costs for production of the actual carts for Switch or discs for PlayStation, and the cost for somebody who's just pretty much solely making this is very, very high. It's a couple grand just to get production carts out. So if I end up selling some on the store, like on the eShop, then I would, if I can recoup the cost for it, I'd gladly throw physical carts out there. I personally want a physical cart. I really want to hold my game in my hand and play it on a Switch on a cartridge. But that's a lot of money.
I see.
So we'll see.
I see. Does it take, by the way, a high amount of money to pay if you go through department or official store, for example, limited run games or strictly limited run games or Serenity Forge? There are so many companies that make physical editions of video games nowadays. That's why I'm asking. I'm not sure about how much money do they take for publishing these games, but
yeah, I looked at limited run specifically and found that it still costs quite a bit of money.
I see.
If I went through a publisher and made a contract deal, then I think it would be a lot easier on the cost, significantly easier. I'd probably pay a lot less. Unfortunately, I had not done enough research on what publishers would be viable for me to ship Horde of Viscount through yet. That is on my to-do list very soon because the game is almost done. So
I see. Switching back to the personal questions again, I believe this in this statement of mine that all of us creators who create our own craft, we always tend to put our inner self into the craft we make, even if it's about experiencing loss, love, positive or negative things in our past. Is this statement of mine true for your work when you work on video games? And if your answer is yes, what examples could you bring us to the table? What examples could you name throughout the journey of you making your own games?
Wow, yes, that is a powerful question too. Great, great question.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would have to say a lot of the demos that I made in the past were made with without that sort of factor. A lot of them were just like, oh, I just fell in love with an idea and I just wanted to try it. But then there are about 5 or so projects, including this one, where I had a vision based on emotion, based on a theme, based on a moral of the story that I really wanted to drive into this. And one of the big themes that I added to this game was I, it's almost acceptance, right? It's almost acceptance. Like there are some, this world is that you play in, this world is a very dystopian world, but you'll find if you talk to a lot of the townsfolk, a lot of their dialogue is carefree, it's happy, it's a, oh, it is what it is and I'm just trying to live my day to day to survive it, ha ha ha. It's sort of laughing off the pain, but as you go through their quest, you'll find that some of these townsfolk, they have very sad problems that you're really trying to help them on, and a lot of the solutions will end up being that you help them accept the position that they're in, and then others you cure them effectively, and it just like, yay, I did it, I made their life better. So it's that, so that's the theme, that's part of the theme.
I see. Why do you think, by the way, from this topic that you mentioned, now people usually run away from their problems and act like they do not have any problems in their life? And they try to not care about it and not even solve it. Just go with the flow and accept depression rather than accept trying to change.
Well, that answer I would have to say is completely different for absolutely individual persons. Some people, they run away because they in that fight or flight response. Flight is truly the answer. They are not made to fight. They are made in other ways for other things. But in other cases, they can't. There are some things that you can't fight or you can't control it. Like one inspiration is, I know you can't see it right now, but I actually have severe psoriasis, and I've had it since I was, as long as I can remember, really, a child. And I had, like I said, you can't see it because I have medication right now that works, but I had blemishes all over my face. The entire half of my face was red. It felt like Eric from Phantom of the Opera, just, the Phantom. Just I was caked in plaque psoriasis, and for years I could not find a cure. And my parents tried everything. They tried everything,
That's very
looked
nice of them, by
everywhere.
the way.
Yes, no, that's fantastic of them. They brought me to so many doctors all over. In the tri-state area, they looked everywhere, and everyone just, they insisted that the cure was something epidermic, something skin related. But that's not what psoriasis is. It's deeper than that. It's an autoimmune disease. And I gave up. you know like I didn't have the protagonist to come in and be like, I see your
Yeah.
problem and I'm going to actually
Yeah.
cure it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I I had my parents who was at the mercy of whatever doctors they could find
I can
that
relate
claimed
to
to
this,
cure me.
by the way, because
Hmm.
throughout my whole life I had allergy. I also had spots in my face. I had asthma. So I had this whole package of illnesses, in my life. And I get bullied so many times. And it's very interesting that to see that people like you became such nice persons and such nice guys
Oh,
in
thank you.
life and not having hatred against the word. Because What I see now is that a lot of people who like live a life where they have any illnesses throughout their journey of their life, they became these hateful people who start to hate the word, start to get depressed, which is understandable in my opinion. But it's very nice to see that people can come forward or come against this bumping wall that they have in front of them, right? So they bump their heads into that wall a lot of times, but they go through that wall finally and see the light. And I appreciate that. I really appreciate the honesty, by the way, about this story. It means a lot to me. So thank you. Sorry, by the way, for interrupting. I just wanted to say this.
No, that's all right. That was a great interjection, honestly. And yes, it is true. I felt the same way. I was heavily bullied for a variety of reasons, psoriasis being one of them. But yeah, I would not be the person I am today if not for my whole support system. I'm not even going to pretend, if not for all my family, friends. And by family, I mean wife too. She has been incredibly supportive. All of my friends and family are the reason that I'm not spiteful.
True. Thank you, by the way, for every one of them in this interview of ours that they supported you and support. I appreciate that for.
There's a lot in the chat right now. I can't see the chat, but I had a lot of people say, "Yeah, I'm on and I'm ready," and I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Lovely to hear that. Yeah, we need these people and people like you and them in this crazy world. Yeah. What helped you not to give up? Not just having them, but also when you had these depressed times, what else could you like grab when these sad times in your life happened throughout the journey of making games? Because I assume sometimes even a crowd full of cheerleaders sometimes do not help that much that you would like to. Sometimes the motivation goes away. At least I experienced this. So did you have those times when people who love you could not help you and you still ended up being depressed?
I mean, yeah. I mean, it happens to anybody and everyone, and I'm certainly not infallible. And honestly, with some of those moments, I take a break. I do something else. I go outside. I actually I like to play sports. Sort of, you could say. I'm part of a mixed martial arts club.
Okay.
That and I do it mostly for exercise.
Nice.
And my peers are fantastic. It's a very safe environment. But like so I guess what I'm saying is other outlets that are completely out of the digital realm have been a great a great help in that, where I can I need to breathe, I need to look elsewhere, I need to listen to birds, for instance. I need to just listen to the wind blow, I need to just be outside, I need to be away.
Slow down your mind. Yeah, exactly. I also have to ask this, and I hope that you won't mind this very personal question. You mentioned your friends passing away, and it's motivated you to like really start to make your own public game, right? Or commercial game. Is he in the game as well in some form, or is it a really heavy spoiler? Of course, like I said, if you don't want to answer, it's fine, but I have to ask this because I think it's important.
I'm gonna take a swig.
Okay.
This question requires wetting my whistle. Yes, actually. So he's in the game in two very amusing ways. A little backstory on this. He was also one of my players of Dungeons and Dragons. We played tabletop RPGs together, and he had two characters, one named Yaslin and one named Havel, and they were smithies. So they made weapons, and so this game needed a smithy, and I could think of no better characters to put in for the smithies than his D&D characters. So if you go to the apprentice or you go to the smithy and you get your weapon upgraded, then it'll say his character's name, Yaslin. That's a nod to him.
Love that. Thank you, by the way,
Yeah,
again, for your honesty. I appreciate that.
of course.
Thank you.
Oh, and one last part of that, like one of the pieces of dialogue that I really teared up writing it and reading it. But he says, "When this is over, let's tink glasses, and let's go get a drink after all of this."
Yeah.
So, and I'm just like, yeah, let's. So yeah, cheers to that. Cheers to that.
Thank you, by the way. Thank you. I appreciate that really. Thank you so much. Thank you. How have you changed, by the way, as a person in other territories of your own life from being a game developer for so many years and making games? What changes were there, if there were, of course, any changes?
What changes? I would say one major change is I used to be incredibly shy. I used to be incredibly quiet.
I could not tell by the way that. You're such a positive person, like I could not even tell that you were shy.
Yeah, I was quite the introvert, actually. Unless I was in a very small group of 2 people, then in larger groups I mostly listened, like in a friend group, just forever. And now when I'm in a friend group, I am the loudest. If there's a word count on who talks, I'm about.
You win, I always win.
In a group of 5, I still hit 40% or higher on the most talked about. Yeah, it's funny, and I'm gonna have to attribute that one to my wife, actually, because I met her when I was caked in psoriasis, and she was very accepting of me, and just that's when I started to get the confidence that I lacked, right?
True.
And then I don't want to say one day, but throughout the course of, I guess, my college time, I just thought to myself, why am I like this? This isn't who I want to be.
True.
Just I dislike it. So why don't I just change it? So I slowly started to open up my shell, and now I can't stop talking.
Love that. And again, thanks to your wife, by the way. I appreciate that.
Yes.
I always say
she's
this.
In the chat somewhere.
I always say this that love really can help, and also like having confidence also can help. And like you said, being shy is on one hand okay, but you have to change, man, because it's like not comfortable to anyone, right? Nobody wants to be shy at real life. So yeah, I appreciate that, by the way. Okay.
Thanks.
How your player perspective changed, by the way, since you make your own games now? It's also an interesting topic to talk about.
Yeah, my player perspective has changed drastically since I've developed games, since I started coding, actually. And I unfortunately have ruined the magic for some people. One of my favorite examples that comes to mind is my wife was playing Ocarina of Time.
Okay.
And she was like, "Oh, like they did such a good job. The trees back there, they're so pretty. The background is so pretty." And I'm just like, I don't know what I was thinking, but I was like, "Oh, yep, I know that. That's the billboard style." And she goes, "What are you talking about? I don't understand what you're talking about." I was like, "Oh no, let me show you." And then I brought up, I forgot, I think I brought up like a debug mode or something, and I was like, "Oh yeah, no, those are actually billboards." And then I moved the character all the like super close to the skybox, and like went around the side of it, and you could tell it was a billboard. They weren't trees, they weren't three-dimensional trees. It's a flat billboard that has a beautiful textured set of trees on them. So I went around it, and she saw it was completely flat, and she's like,
"You ruined the experience."
I completely it's like when a kid is at a magician show and they see behind the magician, they're like, "No." So now when she looks at skyboxes and she's like, "That's a billboard, isn't it?" I'm like, "No, I'm so sorry. I ruined the magic for you."
True.
Yeah,
it's like in Spider-Man games as well, where you like look at the where it's all buildings, and in the windows you can see that it's actually 2D image, not a 3D in-depth, indoor place. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, it's so funny. So yeah, it's little things like that since I've been a programmer where I'm like, oh, like I understand how this is going to work from a coding perspective. Whoops, it ruins the magic. So I really, when I try to play a game, I try to immerse myself in this is plot, this is art. I wanna have my art brain on and enjoy it for what it is, and not my logical programming brain where I'm like, oh yeah, they're using modulus in order to run through those items. Yeah, I've seen that before.
I see, I see, I see. What other genres or other kind of games would you like to make in the future? I know it's also again a spoiler question, so keep that in mind. Like I'm always saying, if you don't want to answer, it's fine. But if you would like to, I would be.
Yeah, that's a loaded question only because the answer is yes. The answer is yes, all genres. Like
Okay.
I have a project for almost every genre you can think of, and I'm like, oh, it's just which
How do you
one
choose
do I want
between
to
them?
invest
Yeah,
time in?
exactly, exactly. How do you choose between
So
them?
yeah, and how do I choose between them? This is an absurdly good question, like a ridiculously amazing question, because I'm in that phase right now
Okay.
because my game has such little amount of time until it's released now. I've been thinking, oh, like which I have like four major genre projects. Which one am I gonna pick? And if every day's a dice roll, if you ask me tomorrow, I'll say it's gonna be the tactical stealth game.
It changes
You
like
ask
the
me,
weather, right?
yeah, if you asked me yesterday, I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm making that bullet hell, that really fun bullet hell that just runs on a phone and runs on any object, and just you know what? The answer is, unfortunately, I haven't figured that out yet. People in the comments, if you have an idea, tell me.
Or
I
make
need
all of
help.
them at once, right?
But that's what got me years of 28 demos, and they're all 15 minutes long. So,
I
oh,
see.
maybe,
I see.
maybe.
I see.
Mm.
How do you balance your free time, by the way? Because you mentioned that you do other things. You work as well. You have a 9 to 5 job as well. You work on your passion projects.
I don't balance it as well as I should.
Honesty, I appreciate that. Without thinking, honest
Yep.
answers.
Honest answer, I'm not gonna pretend. I tend to hyper focus on whatever
I
I'm
see.
doing at a time. So like for instance, like I cosplay. I cosplay with
Okay.
my friends and family.
Okay.
So like I really particularly like making the props. So I will go from having zero props for a convention to all of the props done in a matter of 2 days because I sat for 14 hours without breathing just making them. Yep. So the answer is okay. You know what? There is one balance. Like I do love to play games, but I also love to work on games. One thing that I will do, and it's often is my wife will be playing the game that I really want to enjoy, so I'll work on my game in the interim while she plays it. So I've been enjoying all of the beauty of Expedition 33, Clair Obscure, without and while working on my game without sacrificing one or the other because she's playing it.
Nice, nice. Very nice. Okay. Okay. What other territories would you like to challenge yourself, by the way, when it comes to making video games? Because you mentioned that you always wanted to have like building up your confidence when it comes to making video games. What parts of the process itself would you like to build your confidence or build your knowledge?
Oh, yeah. So I would have to say I'm very excited after this game to go back to 3D modeling. Like
Okay.
I use Blender. I use Blender for making 3D models. So I was making plenty of 3D games for a while. I've used Unreal Engine. I've used Unity. I dipped into Godot for a little while. That was really fun. Probably going back to that actually. So it's going back to 3D art because I've been doing pixel art for the last year and 3 months nonstop. So I'm excited to go back into that. The other one that I actually have a lot of issues with, I have, believe it or not, I have trouble with the social media aspect. I just putting myself out there effectively. Like I have a huge challenge with that. It's a lot of thoughts like, oh, like everyone gets this sort of material all the time. It's probably annoying. It's probably just something that, like, is it worth doing? Like they'll just scroll through it. A lot of unfortunately negative thoughts where
Yeah, I can
am
relate to that. Yeah.
Am I just being one of those irritants that people are just going to want to unfollow because I just,
No, I don't think so.
you know.
But the problem is very how to say it. It's very complicated problem when it comes to like promoting anything, even if it's like video games, books, movies, or any craft. Because I feel like media outlets are not like following up with like every game that they should, like they did in the past. And streamers also do this, like they lack of like promoting every game, although they should. And also I feel like what's wrong about these media outlets and also all these social media platforms is that they are full of bots, right? Especially Twitter.
Yes.
Right? So you cannot really see if the views are real or not, and it's sad because it's killing the whole industry, in my opinion. Not to mention is that there's so much hatred in the industry nowadays that a lot of people like hate on video games, and that's why I started actually making this dev live show of mine, as I mentioned throughout the episodes of my show, is that like I feel like there is so much misunderstanding from the player's perspective when it comes to judging games, right? If they do not understand games, they start to be very judgy about video games, and that's how social media platforms, players, media outlets, streamers, YouTubers end up like saying, hey, it's a shitty game, although it's not. It's just you not understand the core aspect. Or if it's not for you, that's fine, but don't judge on the game. So that's why people like you and me end up like being afraid of putting our craft out there to the public, right? Because we are afraid that, hey, it won't worth of our time, and also like we will be judged. It's understandable in my opinion. So yeah, it's a very huge issue, and it's a very complicated issue in my opinion. It needs to have a big change because, like I said, it's killing the whole industry, and it's not just killing it. It's there are so many developers now. There are so many people making games. There are so many niche and very good games, in my opinion. They should be out there for the public to consume, but they are not there because like there's so many like games which could shine. It's just there is no promotion behind them, right? So, and it's understandable also from the point that I feel like a lot of creators are not into promoting, which is in my opinion fine. Nobody has to be a promoter of their own craft if they don't want to, right? Some people just want to make a craft because they feel like it, right? So they want it to do that craft or to work on that craft because they have, you know, the passion for it or a story to tell, but it's not important for them to go public with that and to stick into others' face that, hey, I'm this person, I'm making this game, right? Which is fine in my opinion. So but yeah,
I mean, there are two flavors of that I more or less categorize them into, and number one is game as an art form. As I've mentioned a lot so far, yeah, game as an art form where you are meant to play it to enjoy the plot or to enjoy there's like any sort of art, like a book, like a painting, like a movie.
Sorry to interrupt you, by the way. I always joke with this that a lot of players say that, hey, this game is shit or that game is shit, which I never understood. And on the other hand, we say that gaming is a form of art nowadays. But if you think of like going into a museum and see the Mona Lisa or any other paintings, we never said in the museum that, hey, this painting sucks, right? So that doesn't make sense, right?
Exactly.
And it same goes for like reviewing poems in schools, right? When we talked about poems or books, we never said that, hey, this book sucks or that book or that poem is 1 out of 10, right? I generated. So it's like stupid, right? I always joke with this, but it's true, right? Then why we say at the one hand like, hey, video games is forms of art, and the other hand we let people say that it sucks. It doesn't make sense, right? So
yeah, and it's not constructive, which is most important.
True. It doesn't help.
It's just not constructive.
It doesn't help anyone, neither the player, neither the developer, right? Or the publisher. Exactly.
Yeah, like Superman 64 is a shitty game. Okay, great. Why? Why is it? Is it just
explain.
Not your style?
Yeah.
Like, explain. Is it just not your style? Like, calling something a shitty game is not only a cop out, but it lessens the weight of your words. It lessens the weight of your meaning. Superman 64 is a bad game because it's monotonous and you just fly through rings and you just want to enjoy being Superman and you don't do that. That is all it takes. That wasn't a novel I just said. That was a couple sentences with a critique. So yeah, let's separate the hatred from the criticism, from the legitimate criticism, right?
True.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
like,
but
we need more of that.
sad part comes from that nowadays even media outlets do this kind of like criticism, not fair criticism, or not like on a higher level educational criticism. In my opinion, the most recent example of the past 10 years would be like the Gollum game, the Lord of the Rings Gollum game. Almost none of the reviewers, like video game journalists, played through that game. It's a very long game, and it's a perfect fit to the story of the Lord of the Ring universe. And it was so sad to see that even the developers had to say sorry for the trouble we caused this game, because they got pushed to the corner because of all those negative reviews, of those negative review bombing, right? Which is crazy to me that a developers team ends up pushed right back to the corner because of all of those people who start to hate on them and on their game online, right? So it's stupid, in my opinion, that people sacrifice their health, their money, their life, their everything just to make a good project, and people don't like it, and they push back those people into the corner like they would be rats or something, that, hey, stop making games, hey, you guys suck. And it's crazy to me. How can people act in an industry which we call forms of art, right? How? Like, they shouldn't. So that's why I feel like players nowadays have way high power when it comes to criticize games than they should be. Or at least, like I said before, they should be educated to form opinions, right? Like you said as well, that they should explain why they don't like it, not just say, okay, it's a shitty game and I played. You see in the reviews of the Steam page that they played 30 minutes of the game or 1 hour. That's not enough, right? That's not enough. You haven't seen even the very first phase of the story, right? So it's crazy to me, and it's killing games, right? So
it is, and we're also indie developers put such a hard focus on the quality of their work, on the art form.
True.
And so and one can't compare it to in industry or a corporation that has hundreds of developers that have deadlines, that are pumping out games on the schedule where they're forced to cut corners, right? It's not an accurate comparison.
True.
Like Igarashi, who made Bloodstained, initially he showed all this gameplay and it looked really good, but the art was it wasn't very crisp. It wasn't a good look, and he got a lot of feedback. But what I find impressive about that is he turns that into promotional material. He made a video with himself in it where he acts like the villain of his game live in a chair, throws a wine glass down and says, "Fine, you don't like the art? How about this?" And it showed the new art for the game, and it looks really cool. So anybody can do that, I guess, is what I'm getting at.
True. By the way, I interrupted your speech, so you started speaking about an exact topic.
Oh, I did? Oh, I'm sure I did. Yeah. I don't recall what that was initially. Oh, it was about after the Superman 64 and the negativity. Yeah, no, I think that we should be focusing more on the art forms, and that these are real people who are trying to make a vision. You know, not all of them are the AAA game companies that are just like, nope,
True.
this is like a game job on a schedule where it needs to go out, and it's just trying to make money. Like my issue with gacha games, right? The intention isn't the art form. The intention is make money, make money, make money.
True. True.
Hmm.
To add to this topic, by the way, I still feel like even AAA companies, like if you scale down onto a base developer in that company, every developer
Hmm.
has their intention and vision, in my opinion. They
Hmm.
just like stuck
Yes.
in that cycle, right? Of these gears that like help each other move the whole system, right? So basically, I feel like that's why people are more judgy about AAA games nowadays, because they don't see the exact people working on those games, right? So it's easier to judge a company of hundreds of people rather than to judge just 10 people, right, in one team. So I feel like it's also
Hmm.
something that grew out to a part where like people have this very high standard of like belief what they would like to have as a good game. And that's how they end up like not succeeding in this belief, that they start to criticize games because like they have this vision of what would be a good game for them, but at the end of the day, if you ask them, they won't be able to answer it, and that's how they get upset every time that they are not receiving that good game that they would like to have. And it's
Yeah.
also about understanding,
Hmm.
in my opinion, from a player's perspective, what they would like to have in a game that is good for them. Is it the story that you play games for, or is it like the gameplay, the music, or the whole box in one, like, you know, entertainment system, or like the fun part? So it's in my opinion, that's the problem, that's the issue with games, or this form of art when it comes to video games in general, that from the player's perspective, a lot of players are just, you know, one-time consumers. They do not like playing games that much like hardcore gamers do. That's why they end up being
Hmm.
like so more judgy. Like you said, if you understand what's happening behind the scene, you will start to understand the whole process of it, and you will start to understand how much work developers put out there for you to have a good game, right? And that's how you will appreciate that yes, there are mistakes, because nobody is perfect at the end of the
Hmm.
journey, right? So there are no perfect games, in my opinion, but it doesn't mean that those games are not great or not like the best games of all time. So it's just, it takes time to really understand and see behind the curtain. Yeah.
Yeah, almost every game is someone's favorite game,
True,
right? Yes.
exactly.
Yeah,
And
almost every one.
that's why.
And there's one thing that I honestly do miss from some games that's been taken out is like developer commentary. Like Half-Life had developer
True.
commentary where
Yes. Thank
you
you.
can play through the game
True,
on New Game Plus
true,
effectively, and there are little journals, but those
true,
journals are actual developers saying, "Oh, I had fun making this
true,
area," or
true,
"Oh, I hated making this area because of
true,
this problem I had."
true,
I miss that, and
true.
that was one of my bullet points to add to Horde of Viscount. That might have to come afterwards. Let's say that.
True. Spoiler time again.
Spoiler, spoiler.
True. And it's
Maybe free
interesting.
DLC.
True. It's interesting that you brought up this topic of the live commentary of having in video games, because I remember that even like media outlets like video game magazines were different back in, like, I don't know, 15 years ago. Like,
Hmm.
first of all, they didn't have scores, at least in my country. Like, most of them did not have the scoring system, which is making more sense to me, because I feel like due to the scoring system nowadays, people are like more lazy to read reviews. They just rather scroll down and see the score. And if it's a good score, they will probably buy the game or be interested about the game. If it's a bad score, that okay, it's a shitty game, and they won't even look up for that game anymore. It's crazy to me that people got, a lot of people got so lazy about reading. And the other thing is that I remember that like reading reviews like 15 or at least 10 years ago here in Hungary, or even in English magazines, English language based magazines, were way different. Like they weren't forcing you not to buy the game. They were rather like be educational reviews that like showed you how the game works, what kind of features the game has. And of course they also had like a small part where they like discussed the negativity or negative parts of the game which they did not like. But it doesn't they did not want you not to buy the game. That's the crucial part of those types of reviews. And it's changed for nowadays. Nowadays, a lot of reviews that I read, they just tell you that, hey, this game sucks, don't buy it. And it's professionals, and it's objective based criticism that they are like have been educated at university or high school, and it's crazy to me that these so-called professionals are like down to the line of hyping up things by being or having this hatred in themselves and in their like reviews. And it doesn't make sense. Like you said, if you like torn down the whole game because you don't like it, it will help nobody, nor the developers or nor the players, right? So
yeah, I find more value in like speaking with streamers, even speaking with streamers
True.
or talking with speedrunners,
True.
like live on
who
their
are really
channel.
passionate about that exact
Right?
game, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and they'll have an opinion on it, and I won't get this game sucks. It's 1 out of 10. No, I'll get oh yeah, like I enjoyed this game, and like these are the problems I had with it, and
True.
it'll feel very human, very casual. It won't feel like a robotic journal entry. So that's why I love streamers and speedrunners for that. It's fantastic.
True. Also, by the way, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying all journalists are like this. It's just I had a lot of like reviews that I read over the years that were like this, and it got me really sad because I feel like I don't know. It's not how you build a culture around video games, right? If you start to hate on everything that you don't like. Also, what I never understood is that like why people get to review games that they don't like, right? For example, I don't like the series of FIFA or any sports games, right? And I would not do a review because of it. I wouldn't feel fair to write a review about the newest FIFA because I don't play FIFA games. It's not because FIFA games are bad in my opinion. It's because like I don't play soccer or I don't play sport-oriented video games, and I don't know. So it's an interesting topic. Yeah.
I agree.
By the way, I have loads of other questions to you, but let's switch to chat questions before I go into some more questions. Yeah, if you're down to that line to answer some
I am
chat
excited.
questions.
Yep.
And thank you. Okay, let us know, by the way. Let us know, ladies and gentlemen. If you have any questions, let us know. Let us know. Sorry, by the way, that if I missed any follows or anything. Samanji Chicken Little, thank you for the follows. Enjoyer of Cake, you get mentioned in the interview as well. Thank you for the follow.
Thanks, Chicken. Thank you, Cake.
And Starzy K, thank you for the follow as well.
Oh, Starzy. Oh,
thank you so much. Thank you so much. And also Shamu, thank you for the biddies. Mini, thank you for the resub, and DDR, thank you for the resub as well. Thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let us know if you have any questions. Let us know.
And that enjoyer of cake in the chat, that's my composer, by the way.
Yeah, you mentioned that. Yeah, I remember.
Yep, that is the same one.
Haim, thank you for the follow. Adri Haim, thank you. SC ZK, am I pronouncing your name right? What makes you love Metroidvania games the most?
Oh, what makes me love Metroidvania games the most? It's a mix of exploration. So it's a lot of exploration, and it brings back a lot of my favorite like platforming, right? Like, so you improve your character as you go along, but you also discover areas. It's like one of the things about traditional Zelda games that's so fun is you find an area and you're like, oh, I will go back to that. I just don't have the upgrade I need to get through this, and that like sticks in your mind. And you want to improve, you want to get better, but you want to explore, but you also want to go get that item, but you also want to do main story quests, and it's just it's a giant ball of fun. That's what's so fun about it, is the exploration.
Okay. Thank you for the question and the answer as well. Chicken Little is asking, any plans on making it so we can have it as a category on Twitch so we can stream it with the name?
Yeah, I plan to do that very soon. Very soon. As
spoiler time.
I'm not sure how soon. Spoiler time. Yeah. Yep. To be dated. There's certain criteria that needs to be met for it to be added as a category on Twitch and on speedrunners.com, and I have to finish fulfilling that criteria. And one of the things that I really need to add to that is to make my Steam page. I still need to make my Steam page.
Okay. Thank you again for the question and the answer as well. Let me scroll back to the chat, or in the chats. Oh, Lady Gallon, thank you for the follow as well. I appreciate that. Let me scroll back. Let us know, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, if there is any more question. Okay, let me scroll down to the bottom. Sorry, my chat is freezing. Let me... Okay. Mini is asking in Hungarian. Let me translate it. Okay, it's an interesting question, by the way, from Mini. How did you felt yourself during today's interview? And what do you think of me personally as a speaking partner? Okay, it's an interesting question. Okay.
I would say you are very engaging as a speaking partner, and yes, definitely.
Thank you.
Yes, no, your experience and ability shows in the way that you interview. Absolutely.
Thank you.
This feels like a legitimate interview. And how did I feel? Well, did I look nervous when I started? Because trust me, I've been nervous for the last 12 hours nonstop. So
you shouldn't be. Like I always say this, that my interviews are like family roundtable talks at Sunday or Saturday evenings with the family, so I'm an honest person,
does feel that way.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it does. It does. You do a great job of alleviating the nervousness early. I'm sure that's intentional. You do a very good job of that, making it so that it is not meant to be like, this is not a career interview where this will judge the rest of your life.
True.
But so yeah, it feels a lot more normal, like you said, like a friend's conversation. Just posted for the world to enjoy our beautiful discussion.
And hope we learn, right? So about the spoilers as well. Let's end up with a joke, right?
Yes. Yeah. Props to you for making this interview so nice and casual and friendly.
Thank you so much. Thank
you. And I would have a fun background, but
no, it's okay.
My bathroom is my bathroom is in shambles, so I have a lot of parts all over the place until it gets finished. So I'm like, where's a corner that isn't full of a sink or hardware hanging around?
No worries.
This wall.
No worries about it. Thank you for the question as well and the answer. Leaf Bunny, if I'm pronouncing your name right, let me know. If not, if you could work with any studio, who or would you? That's the question from Bunny.
Work with any studio? Oh, that's such a good question. Only because I'm having difficulty. I see all of these studios in my head that I'm just like, oh, I want to work with that one. I would have to say, I would have to say Retro Studio, though. The same studio that made the Metroid Prime series. I love the work they do, and I love how hard they pivoted for Metroid Prime 4 for literally years. And that dedication, I see the hard work that they put into the games, and the games feel fun. They feel fluid. They feel enjoyable. So I'm gonna have to go with that.
I see. Would you, by the way, from this exact question and topic that you were talking about, would you rather work for your own games, or would you rather work for other companies if you had the chance and you would apply for other companies?
Ideally, I'd really like to work for my own.
Okay.
Ideally, because that it's part of that art form where I get to put in all of the labor and put in all the blood and
Yourself
sweat
into the
into all the.
craft, yeah.
Yes, like I am in this game. Like
True.
so much of me is in it, and that's
True.
intentional, right? And if I were to work for another company, then it's less about my ideas or
True.
my artistic vision and more about theirs. Not to say that I couldn't fall in love with someone else's vision and want to drive it forward. I have other friends that design games but still have a lot of code work to do, and I love their games. I absolutely love their games. I have one friend that came up with so many unique game concepts, and one of them particularly, I was just like, I want to put. I'm so mad that you don't have the time to code this game that you're talking about, because I would love to play it. And uh it hurts. It hurts,
Hopefully
and it
after
feels
this
good.
interview, right?
Yeah, I want to play his game so bad, but he doesn't have time to make it yet. Yet he will have some time to make it. So for all those aspiring devs out there, one thing that I bring up to is, if you want to make a game, I learned this nice trick from one of the Skyrim directors. Is instead of starting with just the game concept, do something called a papercraft. And what he effectively did was, the lock picking mini game in Skyrim,
Yes.
right? What he said that he did is that he took literal pieces of paper and he took literal objects and he sat them in front of one of his coworkers, and he said, "I want you to try to pick this lock," and he would move the person's hands to simulate the lock. So you're trying it in real life, but you're trying it with like things drawn on paper. You're like quickly sketching something together like a draft. There's no code involved. There's no art assets involved. There's no sitting down and making all of these things so that somebody can try it out and see if it's fun in execution. When you're just doing it on paper, it costs nothing. So for those who want to do that, who want to make games, try this papercraft trick first. It's worth it. Will save you time. It'll make you adjust how you want to make that game play. It's so fun.
True, I agree with that. Yeah. Thank you, by the way, for the question from Bunny and the answer as well. Thank you. When will the trailer come out? Asks Chicken Little 9087.
So I have a draft game trailer out, and it's about 50% done. But I finished the draft trailer, and I need to adjust some of the parts because it's not fast and heart pumping enough in some places. I have to do I have to do some video editing.
I see.
I'm about 50% done.
Okay. Thank you again for the question and the answer as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Bunny has another question. Do you have plans for HOV to have a sequel, or is it a standalone title?
So,
again,
spoilers.
Yeah.
Everyone, spoilers. Skip 38 seconds if you don't want this. Spoiler start. The game will have a cliffhanger. In fact, all 4 endings have a cliffhanger that insinuates that a second game can be possible. And only through your Steam purchases support will
promotion time.
Yeah, promotion time. Will I make Horde of Viscount 2? Pretty much if there's interest, then I would make Horde of Viscount 2. And I already have it pre-written in the plot, like since day one.
Nice. Okay. Mm-hmm. Thank you again for the question and the answer as well. Enjoyer of Cake says, what if family roundtable talks make you nervous? It can happen. I mean, it can happen. Family dinners are my nightmare. You don't have to see the rest of the house. Does Enjoyer of Cake compose for any other games or projects? The question came from Star ZYK.
Ooh, will he compose for others?
Does. I might end up like reading out wrong. Does he? Yeah.
Yeah, does he today? Publicly, no.
Oh, okay.
But privately, he does
Yeah,
have a project. But that's spoilers, and I'll let him tell those spoilers when that time comes. So everyone, stay tuned on the Horde of Viscount subreddit, social medias, and you'll hear about Enjoyer of Cake's next project soon.
Okay.
Like 6 months soon, probably.
Thank you for the question and answer as well. Okay, let us know, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, if there is any more question, let us know. Let us know. Let us know. While we are waiting for more questions, I will ask you some more questions as well. So,
sure.
With all of your knowledge that you have now in your bag, what would be your advice to other developers, other fellow developers who might start their career, or they are already in their career, they just want to, some hold handing by others?
Oh, yeah. The biggest one is obviously the papercraft one. Okay. Excuse me. The papercraft one comes first as number one. Is definitely, if you have an idea, papercraft it, see how your friends react to how the game works, and see if it's fun, and adjust accordingly. The second one is, don't start with your biggest project. Okay. Definitely do not start with your biggest project, because Horde of Viscount, I intentionally was like, oh, it's a Metroidvania, which is typically 7 hours casual from start to back, and then 40 hours of like max gameplay. Even that was too big, I think, for a good starting project, because once you want to make something, you want to make your mistakes on your first project, so that your second project and then your third, fourth, etc. can reign supreme and be significantly better. And so yeah, make a mistake project first. That is my biggest advice. Make it tiny, finish it all the way. Even if it's like an hour game and that's all you get.
I see. Okay. Oh, there are more questions. What sort of horror game would you like to make? Or would you make, sorry?
Oh, what sort of horror game? It's so funny that you mentioned that. I had a very silly idea for a horror game. And it would be I forgot what the name of the project was, but the name of the project was effectively The Cat Something, and it was just kind of a joke horror game where you're just in your house, your power goes out, and you need to go flip the breaker. And as you go to go flip the breaker, you have to traverse your house. You have very little visibility, like all horror games, and so you have to like feel walls to like go forward, and you have limited scope, and you have like no easy flashlight, right? Like it is just you with seeing dim vision, and every now and then you just see these eyes in the darkness staring at you, and then it like moves around quick, but as it gets closer you find out it's just your cat. Like that's it. It's just your cat being affectionate in the middle of the night. So it's meant to be like this stupid, dumb jump scare. But then as you go through the house, you don't know anything about your backstory. You just woke up in the middle of the night with no power. You find out you have more than one cat. So you're just being jump scared by cats. And once they're inside of your line of vision, you see the whole cat, and they're just adorable. So. And then you get to the basement and there's an actual monster and it kills you, and that's the end of the game.
I see.
So that was the joke horror game that I had considered coming out with.
Love that idea. Mm-hmm. Thank you, by the way, Bunny, for the question, and thank you for the answer. Chicken Little asks, will Sean stream the game?
I actually do stream it on my Horde of Viscount
Okay.
account on occasion.
Okay.
And to make it a little more fun on just my version of the game, I implemented something similar to, I don't know who knows this in chat, CrowdStrike. Effectively, those who are in the chat can send commands that my game will pick up.
Oh.
So you can send me, like if you want to help me, you can send me like a heart, you can spawn a heart gummy on the screen that I can pick up, or you can spawn like a platform, or you can
Nice.
spawn like a spare sub weapon, but that I have to go pick up, right? So if you do those things, it will give you action points. It will give you AP. And if I pick up the like items, then it gives you even more, significantly more AP. So what you can use this AP for is you can drop bricks on my head to do damage. You can spawn a geyser underneath me to ruin my run.
That's
You
crazy.
can fire boulders from. You can spawn monsters with higher amounts of action points, and so that is available on my channel whenever I randomly decide to stream. And we've already play tested it, and it's a trip. You guys have such an advantage because I had one player, he just kept spawning hearts and random platforms. Well, it still spawns a heart even if I'm at full health. So he gets the action points, but I don't get more health. So
I
now he
see.
has enough points to spawn this stupid strong monster. So it'll be like heart, 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 monster.
Crazy, crazy,
So
crazy.
fun. Yep, and I wrote it before I knew CrowdStrike existed, and then I found out CrowdStrike existed, and I'm like, great, I should have just ran integration with CrowdStrike. Like,
But that's
but
the
my game
knowledge
costs
you
money.
have in your bag right now, thanks to that you didn't know about it that existed, right? So,
Yep,
yeah,
it's
true,
fun. It's fun.
true, true, true. Okay, let me scroll back the chat.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this was the question that I read out loud. Lady Gallon asks, I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. Will the sequel, if it happens, be called the same?
So I need to tie into the original a little bit. So it will have to have something with Horde or Viscount in it. Yes, that definitely needs to be a part of the title. But it will have a very different subtitle because after the end of the game, things will be different enough where just saying Horde of Viscount doesn't encapsulate the scenario of the world anymore.
I see. Okay, it makes sense, yeah. Let me scroll back the chat. Favorite art design in the game asks, or the question comes from StarZK.
Favorite art design. I wonder if the question is about my inspiration or whether the question is about specifically
I'm
the
not
favorite
sure.
art that I've placed in. So I'll
I'm
answer
not
both of
sure.
those.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll answer both of those. So the first, my favorite art that I've made for the game itself, I would have to say that it would be some of the. I would have to say it's the Viscount actually. The Viscount is one of my favorite designs that I put on there. Just because like he has that sort of like Vegeta front hairstyle where he has a very heavy receding hairline, but he has a point coming in, to make him look very menacing, right? But then he has long hair. He has very long hair, and you're thinking, oh, like he's just some Viscount, and then like he looks bigger or he looks smaller than what he actually is. Like once you see him in person in the game, then you're like, this guy is huge. Like this guy towers over Whip, like the main character, by enough, and it was fun to make him. And then the second half of that was what was your inspiration? Um, like I have a very specific art style, and it's modeled off of a lot of Super Nintendo graphics specifically, like a lot of the like old platformers, and you can see that in the art. But the art inspiration direction I really wanted to go with, like what you'll see in the title screen, is um, I really like the Final Fantasy artist, the main Final Fantasy artist, and I'm talking about the logo title screen artist, which his name is Mr. Amaro. I believe his name is Amaro, and that art is just so cool. So cool. So I kind of tried to mimic that art style on my title screen.
I see. Mm-hmm. Thank you, by the way, for the question and again and the answer to it. Let me scroll back the chat again. Bumper or Popper? No, sorry, Popper. I mispronounced your name. Popper asks, how in-depth will character story and development will be in your game?
Oh, there's whole plot written for all of the main characters, and you will find the heavy majority of the townsfolk have a quest line and a lot of dialogue. So that's where you see the actual depth in them. And one game adjustment I must make right now that I'm having trouble with is making it so that the talk action with a townsfolk is optional. Like you can just go straight to like helping them going through their quest line, but because of that, you end up missing who they are as a character. And when you get to their quest line, you're like, oh, I'm going to pick up Ghost Pepper, okay, from a desert, and it feels like a fetch quest if you don't if you're not presented the dialogue. So I'm trying to adjust the game now so that you are presented with the dialogue, but in a way where it doesn't feel overburdening, because you don't like you're there to play a lot of action, and the plot is supporting that for you to go forward, not the other way around. So I need it so that you are fed the dialogue, but it doesn't feel like, oh great, I'm gonna be in like I have to read like 40 dialogue boxes to get to my quest. No, I want it to make it feel like, oh, like it's just like 5 dialogue boxes, and it's amusing dialogue, and it needs to be presented to you nicely. So I'm adjusting accordingly.
See. Thank you, by the way, for the question and answer as well. It's interesting that you brought up, by the way, this topic of like having a must or not a must thing to read the conversation boxes in games, because I feel like that's how people miss a lot of the story elements nowadays in story-oriented or story-rich games. And there was a very interesting conversation with the creator and the writer and author of the first 3 Uncharted games. She said that exactly or approximately 70% of the players haven't played through the Uncharted games, which is crazy to hear, right? Because like it's a very big like percentage of the players who bought the game but haven't played through the whole story, although it's like a cinematic, adventure action game. So it's crazy that even not having that's the deepest story, but still players not play through the game, or they skip the cutscenes, which I hate in games, right? I never understood why people do that, because like if it's a story-oriented game, you buy those games for the story, right? So it's, for me, it's interesting, that people do that.
Yeah. And I have something to say for all of you aspiring developers out there. When you encounter that scenario, is really question that balance, or what is your goal. Obviously, if your game isn't wholly action oriented, if your game is fully action oriented, obviously less dialogue. If your game is fully plot heavy, make sure that there's dialogue. But if you're trying to get in that sweet spot between the two, and you want your game to have that storytelling the principle to it, like with mine, a really good way to do it is just watch how players react. Like I've watched like the people who've streamed my game, for instance, Lith Bunny, Chicken Little, and Sir Coven. When I watched them play my game, some of them sat and they actually read through the talk dialogue, and then they said the words themselves out loud, and it's great streamer chat content.
True.
But then others were like, I want to go to the next challenge. I want to test myself. So, so what story are you trying to convey, Dev? What are you trying to convey to your players? That's the question you have to ask yourself.
True, true, very true, very true. It's a very hard thing to balance, in my opinion. Yeah. Bunny has another question. Would you ever do a spin-off of the game with the side character? I loved the Ghost Girl.
Oh yes, the Ghost Girl is very, very fun. So instead of doing a spin-off, I'm effectively planning a free DLC of the characters that you can play as after you beat the main story.
I see.
That's sometime after I release the game, because I want them to have unique playstyles and kits. And especially the Ghost Girl, who is lovingly named Lasha. So main character's name is Whip. Her name is Lasha. Whip, Lasha. Yeah, it's
Whiplash.
tongue in cheek. Yeah, it's
Okay.
very tongue in cheek.
Okay. Will the story, by the way, change as well when you will have new characters ready for the game to play with them, or it will be the same story, or it's spoiler time again?
Oh no spoil. So what it is going to do is it effectively removes the main story.
I see.
For you to play through their scenario, because in the main plot line, it doesn't make sense for them to go through the same storyline that Whip does, because their positions in the plot are very, very different. All four main characters, especially Lasha. Lasha has a very specific role that she plays, and it wouldn't make sense for her to play through it. So it's probably going to be like other Castlevanias, where you only get strips of like dialogue in between that are relevant to the character, but it doesn't address the actual like main plot, let's say.
I see. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for the question again from Bunny as well. Bunny also has another question. Do you think HOV would translate into a board game well? I can foresee it working out nicely.
I can't believe you asked that, because I've actually thought of that. I've actually tinkered with it in my head. Another small story. When I was younger, when I said that I was designing games like in a notebook and such, I was also designing board games and card games. So there's a rich history of games in general with me. So yeah, I would actually seriously consider making a legacy board game for Horde of Viscount, because also that bucket list that I mentioned, that bucket list doesn't just have make a video game. I have a lot of items in that bucket list. And board game is on there. I have board game, I have card game, I have movie. No clue how I'm going to do that, because I have zero budget. Make a song. It's a bunch of items on my bucket list. So
franchise,
you know what?
I can see franchise.
Yeah, I mean, I'm intentional, because this is a passion project. I intentionally didn't make a Patreon nor a Kickstarter, so I'm trying my best to avoid that. But you know, if the board game needs to come out and it needs a Patreon, then maybe the board game will have a Patreon or a Kickstarter. Who knows?
True. Thank you for the question again from Bunny as well. Any more question, ladies and gentlemen? Let us know.
Yeah, guys, feel free to ask me about the roguelite mode that's hidden, or the speedrun, or how it catered to speedrunners, or the randomizer I put in the game that is hidden in the demo you guys can't find.
Let us know. I also have, by the way, one more question that will like summarize the whole conversation of ours. But also, while we are waiting for others to ask some more questions, is there anything that we haven't touched as a topic during this interview and you would like to talk about? Let me know.
Yeah, let's see. In my notes do say a couple items that haven't been addressed.
Okay.
I already did my streamer shout outs. Thank you, guys. I see you in the chat. Well, I don't see you in the chat. He tells me that you're in the chat, so thank you for showing up. Let's see. I first started this project November 28th, 2023. But then I actually there was a giant layoff at my company, so I ended up losing my job for about 6 months. Okay. So for 6 months, I was working on this game maybe once every other week. It was so minimal. So when I say I've been working on this game for hold on, I'm doing quick math. Yeah, no, I've been working on this game for about 18 months. So that is not entirely true, because I had those 6 months where it was just I wasn't getting much out. So there's that. That's good. Don't worry, I did eventually get a job. I'm working at a place. We're all good. Yeah, the other thing that I have in my notes is I've been casually speedrunning games for years, and I'm involved in a lot of speedrunning communities that I really enjoy. You know, like I watch Eddie, Dragon Blitz, Stage Urge, Telio One, Opera, and historically BAD, and like variety like streamers like that. It's a lot of Metroidvania. So with that being said, for Horde of Viscount, I tried to make it kind of speedrunner friendly.
Okay.
Like I have embedded like timers in the game that go alongside your real time timer that you have in order to, and that helps like verify your run. And I enjoy speedrunning my own game, of course, because it's fun. So I tried to make it speedrunner friendly, and I already have a map randomizer that I already have coded that's in alpha that does work and is in the demo hidden. And let's see what else I have in my notes. I did make it so that this thing can run on a toaster. It is 50 megabytes, and probably 30 of it are Enjoyer of Cake's beautiful music. So it's a tiny game. This thing does not require any power, and even if you have like a tablet, like this game works with controllers. You can play the web app. You can play the web app. So even if you have an Apple computer, you can play the web app on Itch.io or on GameJolt or Newgrounds, and it runs. It will run fine on your little tablet with your, and you can use Joy-Con. That's the other funny thing. You can use Joy-Con to play it on the tablet. So I tried to make it accessible for everybody. I even made a Linux export recently. Yeah, I made a Linux export recently, and I was like, all right, let me re-download Ubuntu again, because it's been a little while, and yeah, it ran on Ubuntu. Cool.
Love that.
Mm-hmm.
Any other topics, by the way, that you would like to mention that we might miss and you would like to
talk
about?
Those are the other. Those are all of the major bullet points, besides the fact that for Horde of Viscount, I'm really trying to focus on that nostalgia, try to make it feel like it's a Game Boy game. Like all of the sprites, I intentionally made forcibly in 8 pixel by 8 pixel increment tiles, just like a Game Boy game would have. So I'm really trying to bring out that sense of nostalgia, but at the same time, I didn't want to be limited by the limitations of a Game Boy itself. I really originally thought about this where, I do want to push this out as a Game Boy game that would be so fun, but then you won't have something like couch co-op. True. You won't have something like the CrowdStrike code that I wrote would not exist. True. Like and then telling people, oh, you can play my game, but if you want in a web app, then you need to run in an online emulator. All of a sudden, it's messy.
Sure.
And I'm just like,
It's
there are too
alienating
many
players.
cons. Yeah, and I don't want to do that. I want anybody who can play a Mario game to pick up my game and be like, I can play this.
True.
I'll die a lot, but I can play this. And that just leads to the last part of that is one of the most accessible things I have in my game is when you die in my game, when you fall, when you run out of HP, when you are decimated by your opponent, you start at the beginning of the room you're in. You don't start at the very beginning of the stage. My game does not have lives. It doesn't have continues. Those are infinite. It encourages you to keep going. When you die, a notification pops up immediately that says, can't give up now. And it's a small little blurb, and then it immediately starts you back in the room. Like, it is a keep going. It's okay. Like, it's like I loved how Celeste, the game Celeste, viewed you losing in the game. It said, no, you losing it's an achievement.
True.
It is a step forward. It is not, you dying at the very last part of this area is not a step backward. It is a step forward. You learned, you improved, you got better. And that's what I made sure to add this to this game. And all the players that aren't so great at platformers, they can play this game because of that. And all the people who love Soulsborne, there's a special equipment that gives you extra bonus stats, and if you equip it, if you die, then you start at the beginning of the stage instead, if you like that challenge. Or worse, there's one more equipment that will delete your save file if you die.
Okay. For the very hardcore players, I assume, yeah.
Yep, and the speedrunners who go for deathless will especially be like, okay, like, they're like, oh, this is it. Like, we're not playing around.
True.
Yep.
The high stakes, the risk. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No mercy, yeah. StarZK asks, why did you choose the Game Boy format?
Alright, I'm gonna have to give full credit to my wife for this one. And then this is why. As I had stated prior in the interview, I spent so much time making 3D assets and trying to make all the assets for the game that I really wanted to make, that it took way longer than I needed to, and I couldn't spend as much time making the content, making the code, doing the level design, and it was slow. And I wanted to make a game now. I wanted to get a game out in about a year, and I had the majority of the game out done in a year. And that's because my wife said, why don't you just make a why don't you get, like, don't go high end. Don't try to make a high polygon game. Try to make a low polygon game or a sprite game. So I was like, you know what? That's a good point, because I'm going to spend way less time. So I was like, do I want to make like an N64 looking game? Or do I want to make like a SNES game? And then we took it down a notch and was like, you know what has 4 colors and is 160 pixels by 144 pixels? Game Boy. And, well, now we're here today.
Lovely. Thank you, by the way, for the question and answer as well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Enjoyer of Cake has a question as well. How did you come up with your achievements for HOV?
Oh, yes. My game does have a trophy/achievement list in it that I did bake in. It's not in the demo, by the way, because it's still in testing. But I came up with them because, well, I looked at other game achievements. I actually did. I looked at like the Bloodstained achievements. I looked at all the other Metroidvanias that I enjoy, and I looked at their achievements and was like, which of these achievements, if I looked at them, would I enjoy doing? What would I enjoy doing of these achievements? And then what of these achievements would I be like, I hate that, I'm never doing that, I'm not platinuming this game? And then I did a mix of the both. I did a bunch of collector's achievements, and then I did a lot of action achievements where you're like, okay, you have to do this sort of challenge, and the challenge is hard. And then I did the most rude, trophy in the game, and that's beat the game without taking any damage.
Okay.
Yup, and I might regret that later. I might get a lot of hate messages from trophy chasers. Yep.
That.
Sorry, trophy hunters. So sorry. But...
I thought that Super Meat Boy is the hardest platinum to do, but your game will be, right? After this one.
Oh, yeah. Get all equipment and don't take any damages. That's going to be hard to play.
Who will be the first to do that, right?
I have to be the first to do that. True. I have no choice. Because I need to test it like full manual test, not just my unit test.
True, very true. That it can be obtainable. Yeah. Thank you, by the way, for the question as well again. Yeah.
Great question.
Let me scroll back.
They're all great questions. They're all great questions, by the way. These are all fantastic. That one just made me chuckle.
Okay. Let us know, ladies and gentlemen, if there is any more question. Let us know. I love hearing him in the corner getting angry at his game at night. And I say it's your game.
She outed herself. Yep, I will shout that. I'd be like, why would the developer make that? I'm like yelling.
And you realize it's you. I'm talking to myself.
Yeah, I'm just like, oh, why did I? Because there's enemy placement. Like, so once again, I put this like in a way for like where it's good for speedrunning, but where it's bad for speedrunning is I intentionally calculated where enemies could land if you just run through an area. So some of them I'm like, oh, like you could pass right under them if you just hold right to win. And then I have some that just plop right on you, and it just, you have to make that jump, but if you make it right away, you just bump into them. And I'm just like, when I'm speedrunning my game, I forget where I put these. So I run, I jump, and I'm like, oh, I killed the run because I ran into the... So funny. And I'll just scream at myself. I'll be like, pass, Sean, why did you do that?
Bunny is asking, would you ever cosplay Whip for a promotional purpose or for fun?
You know, when I first made Whip's design, I made it knowing I'm a cosplayer, I'm making a game, I'm gonna show up to a booth somewhere, I'm probably gonna have to wear this.
That's a good idea, by the way, from Bunny.
It needs to be comfortable. So if you look at the title screen, I cheated with the hair. This is the hair for Whip, only because I was like, I'm not wearing a wig when I have to cosplay Whip one day. I'm not wearing a wig. So I deleted the original design for his hair that I had in my head just because I'm no. He's gonna have this, and where's the got to be glue? That's it. That's gonna be my hair for the day. So yeah, I would do it. But if I did it,
inside secrets, right?
Yeah, no. If I did do it, I would only commission from Mika Star Cosplay. # Mika Star Cosplay.
Okay.
Yep.
Very good idea, by the way, for promotional purposes and fun as well. Yeah. Okay. One step ahead. Exactly. Yeah.
But I'm full of promotional. Would be like, oh, I'd only commission from, my music is from. Yeah, full of promotion today.
True. Let us know, ladies and gentlemen, if there is any more question. Let us know. We touched here a lot of topics. Let us know. Let us know.
Well, while we wait for a question, I actually have a question for you, Ottó.
Okay, I'm listening.
Yeah, I have a question for you. What motivated you to reach out to me, to Horde of Viscount, for this interview?
To be honest, I'm a huge Game Boy fan. I played a lot of Game Boy games, and I have a huge collection of Game Boy games. So that's why.
Really?
Yes, I do. Even like 2 years ago, I started backlogging a lot of Game Boy games I bought recently, like 1 year ago, Billy and Mandy game the Cartoon Network game as well. I'm trying to get my hands on Nightmare Before Christmas and Samurai Jack Game Boy game as well. So yeah, they are rare, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because here in Hungary, it was like a rare thing to have. So basically, most shops did not sell the smaller niche Game Boy games. They just been selling the popular ones. Yeah, and the only place that they were selling all kinds of Game Boy games was MediaMarkt. But at MediaMarkt back then and even now, it was way more expensive to get my hands on GBA game. And of course, when I was a small kid, I couldn't pay for my own games. So now I'm trying to backlog all my Game Boy games that I could not play through, you know. So that's why
beautiful.
Basically, yeah.
Wow.
Actually, by the way, tidied up my room today, and under my whole setup, it's a whole box of like old school Game Boy games actually, and Game Boys.
Kidding.
Yeah, I will show you after the stream. I will do that. Yeah.
Oh, what's your favorite game?
By the way, if you follow up, it's not a promotion, so don't get me wrong, because my Instagram is basically a private scene or sphere for me. If you follow me up, I will add you on Instagram, and I have a bunch of photos of me holding Game Boy games as well there. So yeah.
Oh, gladly. I'd love to see that.
Yeah, so that's why I love the art style and the whole vibe of your game, going back to those Game Boys era. And also, when I was a kid, we used to do that we went out to the street with my friends and just sat down in a random place and playing Game Boy games. And if one of us couldn't like beat a boss or a level, we just tossed to each other the Game Boy, and we could like say that who is the greatest at that game, you know, by that who could beat the boss or the whole level. Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's a great story.
Thank you.
That's so fun. Wow. Yeah, I bet you can't wait to try Horde of Viscount when it's complete.
That's why I asked you that I would like to have it in my collection as well. If there is a physical edition plan, let me know. But shirts first, right? Like
shirts first.
Shirts first.
Oh yes. We will talk. Send me your shirt size after this, and I will ship something
for you as well. Don't you worry.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Any more questions, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, or any questions from you? Let's change the scenery here. Any other question from you?
Another question for you would be, did you try the Horde of Viscount demo, or are you waiting for the full game?
I did, but I haven't played it through. Yeah, I did. But I would like to play the full experience and stream it, yeah. But I also had this like small issue that I couldn't like, categorize on Twitch. So it was a good question from one of your friends that asked you that there should be a category on Twitch, yeah.
Yeah.
Is it hard, by the way, to make a category for Twitch when it comes to video game development? Is it hard, or does it take a lot of time to like apply for a category at Twitch?
It takes a lot of time to get a response for applying for the category. Like that was the biggest challenge. Was when I was earlier in the demo, I did apply immediately. And it was denied pretty much, being like, oh, like your game kind of doesn't exist anywhere. And I'm I have 3 platforms, so that's like about 3 platforms. So I was like,
there is an interview as well, so it would be easier, right? Hopefully,
that is true.
They can see the person as well.
So that's why I'm pushing to make the Steam page next, along with the trailer. That way, I have a full Steam page, and it has the demo on there, and it can be shown as a legitimate game. I don't know if it will count demos as well, though. So that's one of the other challenges. So like if you look at my main itch.io page, it doesn't initially look like a demo, and for a while it didn't say demo. The reason for that was I was trying to see if I could get it as a category onto Twitch. So now it says demo, because I'm like, I'm gonna have to wait until the full game is ready. My Steam page is ready.
Yeah, I see. I see. Okay.
Yeah, and if anybody watching, and if you want to stream my game, just tag Horde of Viscount on any of the social medias, and I'll come watch. And tell you that you're doing awesome and give you following.
Nice, lovely, lovely, lovely. Summarizing our whole conversation here and all answers and questions and our conversation as a whole, an ultimate question from me would be, I believe that all creators, when they like make their craft come true, they put an own very deep and personal message into the craft. So my question goes by this topic and this statement of mine. What would be that ultimate message that you would like to have for players to consume when they play your game? Even if it's not an intentional message to have in your game, it was like always there at the back of your mind to have for your game.
I would have to say it is acceptance and overcoming adversity.
Okay.
Yep, because there are things that you can change and you should push to strive to do it, and there are some things that you can't, and it hurts, and acceptance really is the only direction.
Okay. Thank you, by the way. Do you believe, by the way, that video games as educational forms of art can change people's lives for the better? Do you believe in this?
Absolutely. Oh, 100%. In fact, originally I wanted to go into the it's called the edutainment sector, of software engineering,
Okay,
and I
okay.
was actively looking for a job for education through entertainment software, and I applied to numerous places, and it changes you. It changes you. The one of the biggest reasons I got through college was I made a video game. Of course, haha. I made a video game, and I had it so that it had a feature that accepted my notes files as an input, and then while I played the game, I would be able to test myself on my school content. So that got me through college. And I made it 4-player. So the 3 players would be playing the actual game that has platforming and slashing and leveling up. Meanwhile, I'm answering questions. And when I answer questions correctly, they get they get healed, they get mana, they get their ability cooldowns immediate. So like that was, yes, absolutely. That will drive you.
Nice. Lovely. Lovely. Thank you, by the way. Thank you for your time, for your honesty, which I appreciate the most, by the way, about every topic that we talked about, and that you are down on this journey of yours, that you make video games, and you are finally releasing your games as well. It's a pleasure for me to see that. And thank you, everyone who participated in the chat so actively. I really appreciate your vibe, you being here with us today during this interview live, and also asking questions using the chat. Thank you so much for that. Thank you. Quick reminder, this episode will be up on YouTube and on Twitch as well. On Twitch just for 14 days, because Twitch changed this whole scenery of like saving the VODs. I talked with you about this, but if somebody might not know about it, Twitch is not allowing anymore to save VODs, only just up to 100 hours. So this our conversations in an unedited form and in edited form with intro, outro, and gameplay segments added will be up on YouTube from today, the unedited version, and later dates the edited version as well. And yeah, thank you, by the way. Like I said, thank you for everyone's time who participated in the chat on the stream, and thank you, Sean, that you joined us for today's Dev Life episode. Like I said, I will need some more of your time off stream, but for those who joined us for today's episode, don't forget to be on the lookout for our friends game here on hopefully every platform and in physical editions as well, hopefully. Not just for me, but for others, hopefully as well. And yeah, thank you everyone who joined us, like I said, for today's episode of my Dev Life show. Have a great day or night or evening, depending where you live. Bye bye, everyone. Bye bye. Bye bye.